How's it going, everybody? Griffin Hales from Electric Bike Report here. I am very excited today because today I'm going to preview for you the all-new Lectric XPeak. This was the freshly announced brand new model from Lectric, the brand most well known for providing the most affordable yet still good quality rides in just about all of the world of e-bikes. So this is a very exciting bike to see where this one's gonna go. It's got the trademark Lectric value, and of course they've got some features thrown in there that few others can match, and definitely not at this price. So let me tell you all about it. Now, before we get started, the one caveat I have to mention is this is technically a pre-production model. So there are going to be a couple of things that change on the final version, but largely those are going to be aesthetic. There are going to be a couple of different adjustments, a few millimeters shorter or longer here or there, a degree difference in some of the angling, but largely this is going to be very similar to the type of bike that does get shipped out starting in January of 2024. So let's dive into everything there is to talk about when it comes to the XPeak. So let's not bury the lead. It's Lectric. You know they're gonna make it affordable, and this e-bike is starting at $1,300, a $1,299 price tag. That is going to be a pretty big deal. There is an abundance of e-bikes in the $1,500 to $2,000 price range. Usually when you go a step below that, you start getting motor power. That's not quite what people are hoping for, or battery life that just isn't up to par. Or you're skipping out on hydraulic disc brakes in favor for mechanical. This one's gonna give you everything that you want at $1,300, so it's going to be killer value. But it's still got a few other claims to fame up its sleeve. It's not stopping at just the price tag alone. So all fat tire e-bikes have a good sense of, good bit of adjustability, I would say. They're the type of things I see them ridden on paved areas a lot, but of course, they're nice for the versatility, for taking them off-road, for going into, sandy, rocky, like dirt-filled areas, kind of like where I'm standing right now. And what Lectric has done to lean more into that for their XPeak than most is going to be courtesy of this right here, this RST Renegade spring fork. So this has 80 millimeters of travel. It is a good high-quality fork, a lot different than what you find. A lot of forks in the $1,500 to $2,000 fat tire e-bike price range are generic or unbranded. Not only are you getting the RST name, but this fork was a must for Lectric to also get ISO 4210-10 eMTB standard durability. Now, if you don't know what that means, it is basically just a level of quality certified for off-road riding. It's usually reserved for eMTBs, and at least according to Lectric, this is the first time a fat tire e-bike in this price range has gotten that certification. So they wanted to give a very good high quality fork. I believe they said it's either $400 or $500 in value right there alone on a $1,300 e-bike. Means you're getting a fork that is definitely a cut above what a lot of other brands typically do. So that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna add a lot of confidence to people who do want a fat tire e-bike for off-road riding. I mean, this is definitely something you're gonna wanna look to play around a little bit more on. Go out in the dirt more often, knowing you're not going to, wear the fork down too quickly. Now, Lectric went further in terms of giving people peace of mind. This is going to be UL 2849 certified, meaning it will be available for sale everywhere, even in New York, where they're starting to make that a standard, and I'm expecting more places to probably follow suit, so that's gonna be nice having that as well. Now let's talk about the electrical system here. I'll start with the battery since that's what we're on. This is going to have a 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery integrated into the down tube on the underside there. That is 672 watt hours, which is a pretty good amount, as it's going to be feeding this 750 watt rear hub motor. Now, Lectric takes a lot of pride in this motor. It is capable of 1,300 watts of peak power, 85 Newton meters of torque. It's gonna have plenty of speed, plenty of hill climbing capabilities. And Lectric being Lectric, they went a step further. This is similar to the motor that they use in their cargo e-bike, the Lectric Expedition. But they said they got a lot of customer feedback saying they wanted a quieter motor. A lot of people said the last one was a little bit noisy. Lectric went ahead and worked on that, and they said that this one is going to be 400% quieter. Love to kind of test that out and do some side-by-side comparisons down the road. So let's go ahead and talk about the tires. It's a fat tire e-bike after all. These are the Chaoyang 26 by 4 inch hippo skin tires. I actually like this tire a lot. I've seen it on a lot of similar e-bikes. This is a tire that I have ridden off-road a bunch in. I have not gotten a flat that I can remember on this tire, so that is really cool. But Lectric even gives you a little bit more peace of mind. They pre-slime these tires as well, so hopefully 1 or 2 thorns isn't enough to ruin your day, but you can still kind of keep going with that added layer of protection. Let's back up a little bit and talk about the drivetrain. So this is a Shimano Tourney 7-speed drive setup. There is, in the rear here, it's 11 to 28 tooth cassette with a 46 tooth chainring up front. Overall, it's kind of what you expect from an entry-level e-bike. The Tourney is kind of a tried, true, and tested setup. We'll kind of just see once we get to do some more riding with it. If there's any ghost pedaling or anything like that, talk more in the ride quality section. Then a quick shout out to this is a pretty cool feature as well. Again, Lectric's trying to lean more into off-road riding than other fat tire e-bikes. You get some quick release pedals here. It's got, looks like 7 different pins on there. Gives you a little bit extra grip, a little bit more security for keeping your foot on there when you're out riding, which is really cool and nice to see. They're not skimping on the brakes here either. Brake levers up here will pull on these 180mm disc rotor hydraulic disc brakes. So far, stopping power has been good. I've had no complaints in the riding I've been able to do with our early release model. We'll be doing our full brake test when we get the final production model in for testing. Now, up front here we have the cockpit. Right now this is similar to the setup I believe that they're going to be doing on the final production model. You have Lectric standard black and white display here. It's fairly decent, always gets the job done. Bar-based readouts, still kind of hoping they switch to percentage. But in the meantime, displays are always kind of that thing. I don't want to make too much of a deal about them because you don't rely on it all that much, I find. Over here is the Shimano Tourney 7-speed over-the-bar shifter. Right next to it, or on the underside rather, is this thumb throttle here as well with some rubber grips. Overall, I think it's a nice setup. I think I kind of wish that they would move this throttle to the left-hand side. Just there's a lot of buttons kind of falling under the duty of your right hand. I think if they put it over here, maybe be a good call, but in the meantime, it's not too bad. Just like most things, probably an adjustment period needed for me. But that's more or less the cockpit layout. Now this, of course, is the step-through frame. There are going to be a step-through and a high-step frame offered. The sizing is going to be a little bit different. So this step-through is catering to smaller riders, whereas the step-over one will have a little bit more comfort for those on the taller end of the spectrum. But that's kind of the general quick overview. We're gonna get this thing out on the roads, ride it around, and take it off-roading as well, and just see how the ride stacks up. So if you are looking at getting the Lectric XPeak for commuting, for riding around town, I mean, you're gonna get a very comfortable ride, and that can definitely open up and get a little bit faster. I've got mine here in class 3 mode, and it definitely gets up to speed without breaking a sweat. But again, the comfort is, I think, going to be what is key. Obviously, the RST fork is gonna provide a lot of that, but again, I just like the comfort, safety, and security. I just sort of come along with riding along on a 4-inch wide tire. If you're someone who hasn't ridden in a while, you're gonna find that kind of an attractive and appealing quality about fat tire e-bikes. It's just very well balanced, very comfortable, but you definitely have to make sure you have a motor with enough push and power to offset the extra drag you get of those wide tires. But the motor here can definitely do that. It has no issue whatsoever. And then just riding, I mean, it feels really nice. It's kind of like floating around on the roads. Overall, I think it's going to be very appealing to people who are just looking for a bike for getting around town, you know? That's just not minimize its off-road qualities at all, as we'll show you on the off-road riding footage here in a moment. But yeah, overall the XPeak I think is a very nice and comfortable ride. This step-through model, it's the reach is a little bit shorter than I would like, so I think I'd probably be better off on the high-step version. I didn't get a ton of time with that when we went to Lectric's Media Day when we were first introduced to the bikes, but I could definitely tell it was a little bit longer in the reach. I think the handlebar may have been a little wider too. So, make sure where they have these kind of one-size-fits-all across their high-step and step-through models, just make sure you're getting the one that's going to be best for you in your situation. But overall, I mean, the rest of the ride is nice. I mean, the grips are pretty good. fairly soft rubber, got a good amount of grip, the shifters all work nicely, and I do actually, the more I've ridden it, appreciate this thumb throttle that you pull down to the side as opposed to keeping your thumb fully extended to push down. It just makes it feel like, you know, your thumb doesn't work as hard or gets tired over the long haul. But overall, I like the cushion, I like the power, and there's just, I think, a lot to find appealing about the Lectric XPeak, especially for one of the cheapest prices I've seen on a fat tire e-bike with similar specs and features. All right, let's take a look at how the fork and tires hold up when you're going down some loose, rocky descents. Let's check it out. It's kind of nice to just bulldoze and stumble your way across a lot of this. As you can see, I mean, just handles it all really well. Even as you finish in this looser dirt, you know, tires cling to the terrain nicely at the speed you need to then, even after slowing down, pick it back up on the other side. Yeah, it's a pretty sweet bike. So I can't lie, I think the off-road riding quality of the XPeak was a lot better than I thought. I mean, in our media day riding, they took us on a very intense, very rocky trail out in Arizona, but even like just the more time was spent on it, I mean, it handles a lot of punishment off-road. I mean, it really can just kind of hit and plow over things, up and over on, and end up keeping a lot of stability. Pretty impressive. I think that when it comes down to the overall ride, you know, my early returns, early impressions are, the only thing I'm never a huge fan of is, again, this over-the-bar thumb shifter here on the right-hand side, just because I don't like having to unwrap my thumb from the handle at any point when I'm off-road, if I can help it. But, you know, it's also not the end of the world. The truth of the matter is, for a lot of my off-road riding, I'll just pick my pedal assist level and pick what gear I'm going to predominantly ride in, and I don't have to change or deviate from that too much. And when I do, I kind of pick my spots and do it in a more controlled stretch of road. So but yeah, like I said, just overall, I mean, I think the fork's doing a pretty good job. It's a little on the softer side, and I already know that Lectric has mentioned they're going to look to stiffen that up by about 25% for the production model, so I think that'll probably put it in a pretty good and happy place. And then I just think it's really cool. Again, like fat tire e-bikes like this, especially the ones under $2,000, they're kind of the, I don't want to say the dream machine or like oversell anything, but I mean, it's just, if you want something versatile, if you know you're probably on the roads for most of the time, but you really want to go explore places like where we're riding around today, I mean, it's great for that. And I think the XPeak, with that extra enhanced durability of their eMTB rated setup here with that RST fork, I think it's going to be something that people do come and explore trails like this one, you know, check out a lot of those OHV spots, because even when you come up on a rockier descent or anything like that, you just hit it with a certain amount of confidence you wouldn't otherwise. All right, so this is the Class 3 speed test here on the Lectric XPeak. Right around, I'm able to pedal at about 8.5 miles per hour in third gear. Weight of those big tires definitely makes it a little harder to pedal, but we'll see what difference the motor can make, so we can kick that into PAS1. So you can't really hear much of a difference, but you can definitely feel a difference like pretty quickly. You can see that speed starts ramping up a bit. It's making it a lot easier to pedal. I'm going to keep my pedal, the pressure on the pedals roughly the same as we kind of like level up. But yeah, so far I'm able to go up to about 14.2 miles per hour without breaking a sweat at all. Let's go ahead and move into PAS2. Same thing, it's not very loud. I will give it to Lectric. They really have worked on the motor noise. But it's, I mean, pushing forward effortlessly. Picking up speed here almost to 18.1 miles per hour, going into PAS3. And same thing, just keeps building, keeps climbing. Hard to describe really. It's almost, you can't feel it too much, but it's definitely like there. I mean, you can see that in the speed, but not a lot of noise. And it just kind of feels like it gradually keeps ramping you up and moving you forward, going 23.3 miles per hour here. Moving up into PAS4. So now maxed out my gears. I'm in the 7th gear and still barely pushing on the pedals, up to 25.9 miles per hour. And we'll finish things off all the way in PS5. Gonna slow down a little bit here on this corner just to not have any surprises on the speed test, but from here we can open it up. And again, I'm really barely pushing the bike at all. The motor's doing basically all the work. Climbing it all the way back to 26.4, 26.5 miles per hour, 26.6. See if it does get to 28 as we kind of ride it out here a little bit through this section. It's still moving. I'm not doing anything different, but climbed all the way to 27.6 miles per hour, I think I saw. So overall, I mean, the XPeak definitely has some giddy up and go in those class 3 settings. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do a little hill test on the XPeak. This is not the hellhole hill that we usually test on for the production models, but this is the one close to the office that's pretty steep and pretty far too. So we'll kind of use it just to showcase a little bit how well this bike does going up the hill, starting with about half on the battery, but I just want to give you the overall general sense of speed and motor noise if the traffic doesn't drown it out, but we'll give it a shot. Ready, set, go. Alright, so I just did a little bit of quick pedaling to get it push started. But I mean, this is a hill. I mean, we test a lot of our bikes here. This is where we come for our testing prior to hellhole to get a sense of how things do on hills. And even with a similar grade, I mean, this thing's still moving pretty well. Slowing down here a little bit on the steepest section, but I mean, still going about 8 miles per hour on just throttle usage. Now for context, most similar bikes I test, they kind of do the same thing, which they slow down here towards the crest, but I think this is right in line with the speed of most other 750 watt fat tires I've taken on it. Not bad too, considering it's already, you know, the battery's halfway down, doing this towards the end of my test run, so. Picking up speed here at the top, I mean, that was pretty good. I think that there was probably too much traffic to really notice, but I mean, that motor that they made a big deal about making it 400% quieter than it was on the Lectric Expedition, I mean, it didn't really make much noise at all, and just kind of had a good steady push up the hill. Overall, pretty good, pretty impressive for a bike. If you don't want to even make any pedal effort, it will get you up to the top of the hill. So I mean, when you take into account the XPeak's comfort in handling on-road and its just capability and muscle for doing some off-road duties, and at $1,300, I mean, all that spec and componentry, I just don't know how many other e-bikes can claim the same. I think the fat tire e-bike market absolutely has a worthy competitor when you're shopping around online. It's going to be one that I won't be surprised at all if it becomes extremely popular, maybe even one of the most popular in Lectric lineup. Rivaling the XP 3.0. But that's going to do it for our preview here on the Lectric XPeak. I'm very curious to know what questions you have about it, so make sure to ask in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the Electric Bike Report channel for when we get our full-fledged review of the Lectric XPeak production model in, which should be here pretty soon. I'm Griffin Hales, and we will see you next time.